in April. Call to order. It is 7:03. Well, that sounds nice. Well, that got everybody silent. Welcome to the Sustainability Board meeting. We have an awesome agenda today, it looks like, and we have a special presentation by Denali right there in the middle. We'll get you in a second. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So we have the first item is public comment. Anybody with come on up.
Carol Robachek, 560 Teakwood. That looks very odd. I just wanted to come by and tell you thank you for the help that you provided and helping to solve our rain barrel problem, and we did so appreciate the time. And that was it.
Well, you're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's actually looking quite beautiful over there. It's making a huge difference in the rain barrels. Nick was also there. He did a great job by putting all these pieces together, making it work. And so was Dave Floyd, who's not here. David. Oh. So anyways, any other public comment? All right. Next is the staff update.
All right, thank you for sharing. Project completed this month. Worked on the statement of work for a Sampson's Island submerged land restoration project called Sizzler. This is a project that will achieve our green achievement target number 18, which is to identify locations within the IRL that are suitable for development of oyster beds when it's feasible. This project is coming along really nicely. We have 11 project partners, and we have to talk about it more. It's going to go to council on the 3rd, and they would like to be there to agree. Working away this month, creation of the Starry Sky program that has an agenda item. There also is the continuation of the water-friendly or earth-friendly community campaign. This is with Councilwoman Mindy Gibson. She was wanting to continue working on this from before. The herbicide was something that we're working with Public Works that's underway as well. Working with the Beautification Board, they've been great at helping with the Earth Day and Coastal Garden Fair event. And again, everyone's welcome to be part of that. Beautification Board and the event is going to take place on April 27th. Also, Public Works is working to plant on DeSoto again as part of our previous grant for the NEP. Public events and meetings, the Dolores Sustainability Board took place. The students are continuing to work on the same project as before with the water fountain and possibly some plantings of native plants on the property as well. The next meeting will be April 3rd at 8:45. The groundbreaking of Doubles was fantastic, and thank you for being there. Those of you who make it, and when the building is going to be built, I'm going to continue to go there and take more photos and do updates. The video track really on Facebook. I'm sure when Dylan shows up, we'll talk about that. The Sustainability Board record is great. I guess I said part of that. The March Sustainability Working Group meetings are going really well. They should have sent it from a survey. If you got the survey from the Brevard Sustainability Working Group, please fill that out so we can get some data on that survey for you guys, specifically about board members. So if you haven't got the email, let me know, and I can make sure you get that email from Linda Seals. Future topics, special presentations. We're going to have our 13th workshop, the Electric Vehicle Revolution, tomorrow. The Relay for Life event that Julie is spearheading is March 30th. Saturday, April 13th, the beach cleanups continue with the Show Family. Please attend those. Sustainability Working Group has their next meeting on April 29th. As board members, you're all welcome to be there for that. That is at UF IFAS 3695 Lake Drive. Classroom presentations, continuing to do that. The Keep the Water Beautiful Trash Bash. You should be seeing lots of information about that coming out. Publix is the sponsor that's going to be at Pelican, so we don't have to worry too much about sponsoring it, but to attend it and to support it is one of the things that we can do, that's really easy to do. National Sustainability Summit, I'll be there April 16th through the 19th. You're all welcome to go. And April 27th, that's his birthday, and he goes to the Garden Fair, and that's at the DRS. Also, Johnson Jones sent me a text message about the USA Today article. You may have seen it. That's the week of International Dark Skies starting March 30th. There was an article in the paper that said turn off your lights. Pretty interesting. There you go. There you have it.
All right, thank you, Nick. How can we volunteer our time for the Coastal Garden Fair? Do we need to just get with you?
Just get with me, set the time.
Set the time?
Come to the education board meeting, if you'd like to.
April 27th at 9 a.m. to 2 at the Schechter Center. Here's a little flyer.
Hey, Nick, quick question. Can you recap the grant process that you adhere to?
Sure. So the NEP sends out a request for proposals. Immediately, I go about getting project partners and discussing the project with project partners, the staff. We mentioned it previously, so we were kind of ready for parts of that. Kind of prepping, for that. Getting the proposals together, getting the budgets from all the different partners. Is there anything specific that you're looking for?
Is it just random with the NEP, or does the NEP have a season, if you will, when they submit?
They do, yes, they have a season. And it's after February, March. It becomes that. So right now.
So February, March, we need to be prepared as a city and potentially a board if we have recommendations. We have to be prepared maybe in December-ish?
Absolutely. We have
If not
projects that we
before.
want to do, and I was talking to Brittany about that today, going over the budget for 1920. Any projects that we want to do, we need to come up with the budgets and the ideas for those beforehand, so that when something comes out, like NEP or the KDB grants that come out, we can just jump on those, because the windows are really small.
Are those seasons the same?
No.
Are grant seasons the same? No, okay.
Unfortunately.
But NEPs are biggest for the lagoon, potentially.
Sure, yeah, and then there's also the soil funds from the half-cent sales tax that we can apply for other things in the future.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, is there any other comment? No? Any comments from public comment about the staff update? No. Okay, we are ready for the presentation by Denali.
Spartina grass and mangroves in the Indian River Lagoon. So, the Indian River Lagoon is the most biodiverse ecosystem in the northern hemisphere, and is habitat to more than 10,000 species of plants and animals. In the last 100 years, human activity has changed the lagoon. 85% of the mangroves have been cut down for housing. So this is where we live. This is Ozzy the osprey, and you can see he's overlooking where there used to be mangroves, and now there is housing there. This shows the nitrogen cycle. As you can see, it all starts with fertilizer runoff and natural waste products entering the water as ammonia, NH3. Then nitrogen-fixing bacteria turn this ammonia into nitrite, NO2. This nitrite is then turned into nitrates by more nitrogen-fixing bacteria. These nitrates either have more denitrifying bacteria, convert them into N2 gas, or, more importantly, they feed plants and algae. The problem with when they feed the plants and algae is if you have a little bit of algae, that's okay, but when you have too much algae, that algae takes the oxygen out of the water for its own growth. And then there's no more oxygen left in the water for the fish. this is what leads to fish kills. So as you can see, this was all in our community, and I got so sad. It was so awful. Like, I was like looking at it, and I was like, oh my gosh, how is this like a thing? How can people do that? So this is the fish kill. I felt so sad about it. It was so awful. So this is my question. Which removes more nitrates from a simulated estuary? Spartina or mangroves? And is there a difference between free-floating plants or planting them? My hypothesis is that the container with Spartina grass and sand would remove the most nitrates because the Spartina grass grows more quickly, which means that it's using the nutrients and the water for overgrowth. And I thought that the sand would remove nitrates because of the denitrifying bacteria that are in the sand. These are the simulated estuaries. So you can see there are 3 with sand and 3 without sand. As you can see, there's 2 that have there's 2 that have Spartina grass, 2 that have mangroves, and then 2 that have that one that just has like living water and the other one that has living water. So what I did is I put nitrate in all of the containers until it maxed out at 40 parts per million of nitrate. Then I measured the nitrates for every day until the nitrates reached 0. So this is a picture of me measuring the nitrates. These are my results. As you can see, so the blue is the control, the red is the mangrove, and the yellow is Spartina. As you can see, the control and mangrove both stayed at 40 parts per million of nitrate the entire time, but you can see that the Spartina dropped by the end of the experiment at day 7. So this is trial 1 with sand. So the key is the same. Spartina dropped more quickly, and they all reached 0, but the mangrove dropped faster than the control dropped faster than the mangrove. This is trial 2 without sand. As you can see, the mangrove and Spartina both reached 0, and the Spartina dropped to 0 more quickly. This is trial 2 with sand. You can see they all reached 0, but the control dropped 0 more quickly. This is trial 3 without sand. So the mangrove and Spartina both reached 0, but the control did not. And then this is trial 3 with sand. They all reached 0, just like the mangrove and Spartina reached 0 more quickly. This is a chart that shows the average number of days it took to eliminate all the nitrate. And here is the chart in graph form. As you can see, control took on average more than 7.7 days to eliminate all the nitrate. Mangrove took more than 7 days to eliminate all the nitrate. And Spartina grass took 5.3 days. And control sand and mangrove sand took on average 4 days to eliminate all the nitrates. And Spartina sand took on average 3.3 days to eliminate all the nitrates. My hypothesis was supported because the container with Spartina grass and sand removed the most nitrates, then the mangrove and sand, then the control was sand, then the Spartina grass, then the mangroves, then the control with water. My application is that This can help local organizations that are trying to find a way, like, when they're trying to find, like, so they can know that Spartina grass removes nitrates more quickly than the mangroves. So if you have a really high nitrate area, you would plant the Spartina grass to get rid of the nitrates. You would still do mangroves for variety, but you would do more of the Spartina grass. And then if you have an area where there wasn't much where you needed more animals and more habitat, you would do the mangroves and you would still do Spartina. So, why would we care so much about this, right? You're thinking, why would we care about this? So the reason is, this is like my playground, right? We have a boat, and I play in the water, right? And it's just so sad to see it, like, get destroyed. And it's just so sad, and it feels so bad, like, seeing it all get destroyed, right? So, you want to protect it because there's people that really, really love it, and just because it's sad when you have things that there. And I care because I love it. And it's also the home to many different animals, including alligators, manatees, and what we as a community and individuals can do to help our lagoon. You could reduce the fertilizer that we use on our plants, plant native plants. Don't let our lawn clippings get in the water or on the street. Educate yourself and your community about how it's important to protect our lagoon. Thank you. Any questions?
Nice job.
I just have a comment that, Denali, this is the second time you've been here presenting, and you are incredibly awesome, and we are really thankful for having you here and being a part of our community. So thank you.
Yep, yeah, thank you, Denali.
I second that. You're an inspiration, especially to my son. I took a short video, and I'm going to send it to him. He definitely is encouraged by your activities.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any comment, public comment? Come on up. You have to come up to the mic and state your name and your street address, please.
I live on 557 Lanternback Island on Tortoise Island, and I'm very new to the community. I'm not even sure what is Florida native because we moved from Colorado, and they don't have a lot of, a different ecosystem, for sure. But I am interested in, I love going to Sampson's Island. It's one of my favorite little saving environmental places, and our friends were asking, and I know there's invasive species plants on that island. And so I was wondering, is there a way we could put her Spartina grass? But I shouldn't say it's hers, but her suggestion of trying to plant that while removing some of the non-native, it's just an idea. But I do feel like there's, and you have history, I don't know it. So I may be coming in with some things have already been done on Sampson Island. But I do feel like it would be a great resource to try to cultivate algae prevention and things like that.
Well, sure. I'll give my card. Be happy to tell you more about it. And
Okay.
yes, yeah, so there is a team that goes out to the island and does invasive removal. I can get you lists of native plants and talk to you about that. And there's a lot that we can do, not just on Sampson, but also the community. We can involve Denali in the community as well.
Excellent.
Give me a call. I'll say.
We also need more community members on the Sampson's Island Working Board. I'm on the board, I've been on there for a few years, but it's once a month, and we go out to the island, and we do take out invasive species and things like that, and we could definitely do more native species there and plant them. We don't have a lot of water source, so it has to definitely
There's a pond where
We
we
could-
can sport on it.
We could plant there, okay. Any other comments? Public comments?
All of mangroves used in the project are finding their way to the river.
Gotcha, awesome. All right, our next agenda item is discuss action on the Green Achievement Target, number 13, proposed changes.
What's number 13 again?
13 is our obtained original status of dark sky certification for achievement target. So the recommended action that was in front of you in the packet is to create a starry skies designation as an urban standard for the current goal of obtaining the dark skies communities with original status.
Right.
So working, with board member Henning, staff, and actually the dark skies organization themselves, we kind of found that this might be a better direction to get something more obtainable. There's a list of different educational components and just long-term goals in there as well as how we go about doing this at the city level, the commercial level, and the residential levels. And if Jazzy, if you'd like to speak on this as well, this is something that I wanted the board to look at and hopefully take an action on.
Yeah, John did a lot of the legwork, everybody did a lot of legwork, but we just kind of came up with ways that we thought we could help to dim the skies and reduce light pollution within the city. And then we also discussed how, there's not really anything that makes our area incredibly unique as far as other coastal towns in Florida. And so we talked about how we could use this to kind of be like an urban light pollution reduction plan that we could share with not only our neighboring communities, but all of coastal Florida to help make a difference throughout the state.
Thank you, Jazzy. Yeah, the one thing that really kind of hindered us from obtaining the original status was the long-term implications of the streetlights on M&A. So because we don't own those,
Right.
MFPL does, and they recently just changed up the lighting in those. To do that through attrition would take a long period of time than it would to get there for status. So we can actually do things right now, or we're doing other things to get there. So this will just help us change that direction.
What kind of motion do we want?
So the motion, I think, would be to change our GAT to a starry night designation versus a dark sky designation?
Yeah, starry sky.
Starry sky designation? I'm going to make a motion to change GAT 13 to starry sky designation.
I'll second it.
So Matt and Mark, second.
Okay. John Fergus?
Do you want community comment?
Do we have community comment first on the agenda item?
Can I make just one brief comment before we vote?
Well, first,
Is there a community?
is anybody else community? Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think this is an excellent follow-up from the discussion we had last time. And thank you, Jazzy, for your time in putting it together.
Okay, great.
John Fergus?
Yes.
Christopher Reeve?
Yes.
Steve Gillum?
Yes.
Mark Boyd?
Yes.
Matt White?
Yes.
David Gliotti?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, awesome. All right,
They're still working on the refining your proposed ordinance material, or do you think
This
you're
is it.
finished?
This is it. This will do it. It's going to be internal, and then we'll go forward with this.
Well, I had a couple questions on that.
Sure.
When you talk about lighting, and it wasn't real clear to me, I may have missed it, what about signs?
Signs are included. So making sure that the lights and signs included are timers, so that they go off at a certain time when they're not being used.
What about the shielding? That's not going to happen.
So the lights that we have within city control, we can, adjust it as we see fit. And most of them actually are, at least the ones on AMA and other ones are the Cobra style. So,
I'm not talking
so which one?
illumination lights, I'm talking sign lighting.
So no shouldn't have sign lighting required as part of this.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because that's totally impractical.
Right, absolutely, yeah. The shielding was not good.
And What about color? Color's a big deal with these folks. Did you talk to them at all about, in other words, if you've got a sign with blue in it, in theory, they don't want that?
We weren't that restricted on signs and color of signs. It was more of the signs being on when they don't need to be on.
Okay, I'm just trying, these folks were,
Right, and that's
I
why
say,
we-
a bit impractical in some of their stuff.
And that's why we moved away from their designation and moved into something that's more practical for a city, an urban area.
What's the next step with that?
Go to council.
Going to the code board?
I believe that was the next step, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
That it? Okay. Number 7 is we're going to take action on participation of the Coastal Garden Fair and Earth Day celebration. I think we discussed a little bit about that, which is, did we already, that was,
Basically, that was just if anyone wanted to be involved.
so that is April 27th from 9 to 2. It's going to be at the Schechter Center, and it's going to be incredible this year. Actually, Nick Scott, who do you have this year?
So we have, I think over 10 vendors already signed up. We just talked to Doubles at the groundbreaking, and they wanted to do a food truck. So that's great. There's a local lady who does lemonade from the farmer's market is going to come out, and she's going to find a way to be environmentally friendly. We have a number of artists, plant vendors, and the beautification board has been working really hard to make this happen. We have speakers. We're going to have Linda Steele as a speaker. We'll have myself and a number of other speakers that will be talking about topics about native plants. Bill DeLucia will talk about his yard and how he turned it into, that amazing landscape that it is. And if anyone wants to be there to volunteer at the table to have anything specifically that you want to promote at that event, please get with me and we'll make sure that there's a table for that. If not, the sustainability board will have its own table next to the beautification board. Also, the EV driver will be there.
Have you had a discussion with the folks that are doing the new photovoltaic co-op?
About being at the event?
Yeah.
That's a good place,
Any PV vendors you've talked to?
I did reach out to the Widening and Renovate, the police program providers, to see if they could be there.
Okay, I'm
There's
talking,
no specific plans yet. Didn't know if that'd be appropriate or not. Is that?
why not?
Why not? Okay.
Now,
Yeah,
if you,
yeah,
okay, if
yeah.
you invite if you contacted, let's say, Brevard Solar, you need to make sure you contact Solar of Brevard and others that, you don't want to just,
I did contact the Solar Energy Center, so that was okay.
yeah. I would think vendors, as long as you make it reasonably, they've been to a fair number of these.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
And if you've got the PACE folks there, and then if you've got the co-op folks there, you've got some kind of a critical mass.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any public comment?
Hi, Jennifer from Beautification Board. I was speaking on this last month. So I think in addition to that, as we're talking about ideas in the last month, we've talked about, I know last time there was an idea about wine bottle art or repurposing, recycling. Well, I think, Nick and I have been talking, those kinds of ideas that are cross-purpose, I think are really helpful. And I have also, talked about, actually, a lot of these kids we know, and so we have a large community of kids that could participate in like an art recycling kind of thing. So we also, I had mentioned last time, and it seemed like maybe there was some agreement about like, what did you know kind of thing. So I think just encouraging everyone in this last couple of weeks about what do you all have ideas about that are cross-purpose, because this is like the first opportunity for Earth Day and beautification, and how does that all fit together? And did you know that you can't recycle shredded paper, but you can use it in compost? So those kinds of, anyway, any kind of ideas, I think we're like in the last few weeks of figuring out all of that, so.
And Nick, that brings up another one. Has anybody invited the junior Sustainability Board to participate?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay.
And now that we have a satellite sustainability board, I would like them too. Satellite high school.
Yeah.
Just started its first meeting.
See, now, they may be natural ones to take on something like repurposed art or something like that.
That's true.
Have you reached out to Verde Eco School?
I believe I did a presentation on it. But yeah,
Give it in.
I want to make sure Verde comes back and wants it. We're actually
Yeah.
talking about that.
We said it all. Okay, thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right. Are there any other public comments? Levi, come on. You got a public comment? We know you're there. You're like famous. We know you. You're like on TV, like,
Levi, you want to be a speaker?
come on, Levi. You got anything to say? Come on.
Levi doesn't have anything to say.
Tell us about your last thing. It was on TV, it was on, tell us about that a little bit. The last show that you were on,
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah, 60 Minutes.
come on up to the mic. I can't hear you. Tell us your name and where you live.
Levi Draheim, 107 Hogan Road, apartment C.
Awesome.
So just recently, I was on 60 Minutes.
There you go.
Which I know none of you have heard of that. It's like some little dinky channel.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I'm old.
Really? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Is that on MTV or something?
You have to ask my parents. I don't watch TV. So,
Well, tell us about, what did you say? What happened?
look it up.
Ah.
Levi Draheim, 60 Minutes.
Okay.
And then there's going to be an Australian one, I think, right? Yeah, so.
Yeah, the Al Gore.
So recently, I was in a climate conference in Georgia, and I spoke with the ex-vice president, Mr. Al Gore, on
Awesome.
his first youth panel. So just something little there.
Well, that's small. It's not
Yeah, really.
easy going. All right. Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay. Any board comments? You guys have any comment?
Board comments, projects and stuff?
Project? Oh, no, we're not there yet. Let's, are we there? Yeah, maybe you are there. We are there. So board member comments, number 8. Let's go around the horn. Yassi? Anybody?
Okay.
Pat, did you have anything? No? Okay.
I'll just speak on the bike event.
Yeah, let's do it.
The last month was great participation.
We had half the crew here.
Yeah, we've got most of the crew here. The cause is short and sweet. The cause is short and sweet. We just ask people to consider riding their bike to Publix once or twice, more. I think that's great. I'd like to give a special thanks to Julie and Nick for continuing to help with the organization. That $25 gift certificate goes a long way with the group. We love it. It's a lot of excitement. Doing a little drawing for it. I appreciate Nick getting a hold of Erickson, and we worked out getting a little after-ride snack sorted out, and that's a big success, and it's getting a lot of people all the way through to the finish line, and we're having a great fellowship there. We started the bike ride this past month, cruising over to the beach. We tried to catch a rocket launch. Unfortunately, it didn't happen at the very beginning of the ride, so we continued our ride around town. The bike police were actually involved in the bike ride this month. Their participation was incredible. It took a lot of stress off me running back and forth to the front of the line. They actually said that they were extremely happy to be a part of it. It was exciting for them. They also said that this is what they're here for, so they're very excited to continue being a part. And at the end of our ride, we got back over to Long Doggers in time for the launch. So as we were sitting there at the end, we actually did see the rocket launch, and it was a great culmination or ending of the bike ride, and we just continue to stay there and fellowship. I do think it's turning into quite a successful monthly event, and I look forward to doing it next month. I'm thinking this month, I'd like to do on the flyers, I'd like to do a front side with the flyer, and on the back side, I'd like to put a summary of the bike ride from the month before, just to encourage people to come and be a part, kind of display how much of a wonderful time we're having together. That's it.
Okay, great. So again, so what day is it and what time?
Next month's will be on the 19th. Hopefully we'll have a rabbit theme, maybe.
And that starts at 7?
Yep, 7 o'clock.
All right. Do you have any comments? Okay. Does anybody have any public comment about? There we go.
We were talking about Scottsboro United that day.
Oh, yeah.
So we were talking about creating a bike collective where people could come and fix their bikes in the community somewhere. If we get a space, I don't know, grants, or maybe people just bring their tools by, and maybe we can get old bikes and fix those up, give them to less fortunate kids, or even sell them to help sustain it.
Right.
But very preliminary, but just to let everybody know about it, and remind Chris.
We tried to get Bob's Bicycle Shop out there for a little bit. Did they ever come out?
They're constantly
Yeah,
there every month.
Okay, they are.
Every
So
month.
they are there, so good. Let's give props to them.
Yeah.
So they're out there to help us out.
Yep. I think they'll bring their workshop again for the annual event in September, our first annual. But they're in great communication with us. We're constantly texting each other ideas and other events that are going around town. But thanks for reminding me of that.
I just remembered, I forgot about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me.
Talked about it at the end of the night. So.
I would definitely like to add that on the agenda for next month, because I think it's something that we can do. I know I personally have 4 working bikes that I
have
could
11
possibly...
bikes and parts.
Right.
So.
That I could bring, and we could get some people together and get some bikes sorted out. I think my only concern is that if we start giving the bikes away, that they might go to waste.
Right.
On the side of people's houses. But those are the things that I'd like to talk about, the sustainability of giving away these bikes.
Well, I
essentially.
believe the sheriff's department has a bike program where inmates put them together. I think you can contact the sheriff's department, they'll pick them up. But
Right, and we were also talking about a community collective where people can come and fix their bikes too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Well, the other thing I was thinking is that the police department collects bikes that have been stolen and abandoned and nobody claims. They can't just give them away willy-nilly, but if somebody has, they could either go to the sheriff's department. I know some of them have gone to the teen zone.
Don't they have an auction? Once a year, the police department has an auction, and they auction off the bikes, don't they?
I'm not sure what, I think
Ours
they've
always
been,
has-
here,
ours
I
they
think
have used.
Satellite's been giving them to the teen zone.
Okay.
But some of them probably aren't usable, but I used to fix bikes too, and I'd find them in the trash and scavenge. That may be another source if people were looking for a source, and Nick could talk to the police chief and see if that's feasible, if that somebody thinks that's something you'd want to do. Because there probably are people that couldn't afford a bike that could use one, or somebody's, I picked one up, the chain was off.
Yeah.
And probably it may be a single-parent family and no time or doesn't know what to do with it or something. And so if there was some way that somebody could say, I need a little bit of help, so my kid's bike's working again.
Right.
Come out on the 19th at 7 o'clock, and we'll fix it.
I definitely think this is a great conversation to have. And
Who knows what it'll look like, but it's just...
The mechanics
Yeah.
are, I think, what we should discuss over this next month and present next month. How much space we need, how we catalog parts if we're starting to take apart bikes. where they be stored. I don't know if there's space in the recreation department, but
I was
we,
thinking
those
outside
are,
the high school, getting the school involved.
Yeah.
Those kids ride their bikes, it's a great skill for you to
Right.
learn.
Mhm.
The new sustainability board's there, might be able to take something on, the department wants us to do something.
okay.
Put in shop class or something.
That's what I did in school,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Great.
You know,
Thank
another possible resource is, and this is stretching, Randy Pitts. Now, he's teaching auto mechanics, but you know, they're both machines, just one's a little bit less complex than the other.
Have wheels.
Yeah, you know, so that may be something too that could be done, or they could start a club even.
I had a parent propose an idea to me too about, because like all of us with kids know that, all of a sudden one day that bike's too small for them. And if there would be a way to coordinate within the community, like bike swaps, where,
Bike
like
swap.
the younger, parent, children, family become recipients, and then the other ones whose kids are, moving on to other bikes, kind of pass them down. I mean, it's a very sustainable thing to do. And
That's actually a really great idea, because a lot of those small bikes go directly to the garbage,
yeah,
as if they're useless.
they're
you
not
know?
usually used nearly as much as
Right.
the older kids' bikes.
Right, if we could easily store some of those for your first bike, come to the city, we've got you covered type thing. That's a great idea.
Any other public comment?
I don't know if I need to come up here or not, but I know in the Boulder community, as well as in Colorado in general, a lot of we have the same issue as far as growing out of bikes. They would grow out of ski gear. And so you knew at the end of spring, and unfortunately there's not an end of biking season, but if you set 2 times a year of doing a swap, and it can be any recreation toy. It doesn't have to just be biking. It could be kayaks, because kids grow out of their kayaks, and other sports events too. So so if you think about it as like, how we have the food trucks
Right.
and the community center, you can actually save a lane to do a swap. You don't have to make it a different event. You could tap into when people are already coming to it. Anyway, you might benefit from more people enjoying your music and food trucks.
Great idea.
But it's kind of like, it's definitely a community building because people are bringing their things, but you can put kind of like, don't bring broken unless you know it's easy fix. You don't want something that's moldy,
Right.
so you do need to say gently used or easily repaired as a stipulation when they bring in equipment that kids have had and to swap it out. I think it's a great idea.
Not
But-
just kids,
Huh?
not just kids.
Yeah, it could be adults too, definitely. But I think to be organized with it, you'd probably have to have it sectioned off where this is elementary aged equipment, this is teenage equipment, and then this would be adult equipment, that kind of thing. And I'd be glad to help a little bit with that, because I know it's hard to keep buying things. People need to, and I know it would benefit somebody else. I know Nexus Store uses a lot of things, but sometimes it's just, it was swiped in 10 minutes. And this is kind of more of everybody can bring their stuff and see what they have. So it's just a suggestion.
I love your idea because it's more community building, and we could probably tap into that, maybe our first annual, you said in September?
And it's reduce,
Something like that.
reuse. It's definitely applicable to the sustainability part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I got into doing bikes, I just got tired of seeing bikes sitting there and the
Hard to walk.
scrappers come along and,
Just
take them
crumble.
to the junk. Yeah, and it's just such a waste. But, my wife had to say something after 7 or 8 bikes sat in our garage.
Yeah. I'm getting up there. Hey, I'm just going to put an idea out there. I don't know what's going on in the community about it, but John, you were talking about getting the auto, the auto department at the high school involved with bikes.
Right.
And an idea came into my mind. I wonder Are the kids learning about electric cars now in their programs?
An interesting question.
I mean, that's something that we could talk about. I don't know if they could start with golf carts, but maybe that's something that we need to push on.
Nick,
on
sounds
their
like you've got
curriculum.
some things to talk to Randy about.
Well, we can start with number 10, which is, or actually, number 9, our agenda items for next meeting. I don't know if anybody had any agenda items, and I don't know if that might be an agenda item for next week.
Well, you know,
Or Pat had something.
we've been talking about the problem of recycling because the Chinese won't take the world's trash. But before recycling, you should repurpose or reuse. And so if you back up off the recycling, that's what we're talking about here is reusing and repurposing things instead of crumpling them up and
Right.
whatever.
Right. Matt?
So, yeah, I spoke with Chuck Jacoby with the St. Johns River Water District Management, and in an effort to get someone to come and talk to us about the seagrasses in our lagoon, what the seagrasses contribute as it relates to the health of the lagoon, and he's on board to coming to present to us next meeting. Nick is familiar with Chuck, and I don't know if anybody here needs a little bit of background, but he does have a pretty significant bio on St. John's River Water District Management website. He's been there for a long time. He's up there in terms of scientists. My apologies for not having a little bit better of a bio for you guys, but he's usually attached to a lot of the initiatives that with the Brevard Indian River Lagoon Coalition, and you'll often see his name tagged on emails that might be directed towards some of the professors at FIT and things of that nature. So he certainly comes with a good reputation. And then during the same meeting, so Chuck needs about 30 minutes to do his presentation, and then it would be a good compliment to have a guy named Aaron McDaniel. He is an engineer, and he was the project manager with the Merritt Island Seagrass Transplantation Project. And he wanted to come and talk to us about that project, since we do have some ideas about doing planting seagrasses west of Sampson Island. So he would be able to give us some insights as it relates to what was required, just the simple basic requirements of what that project needed to be successful. So they're still actively planting seagrasses and actually keeping plots of those grasses viable after pulling them out of the turf in the riverbed and then putting them somewhere else, and they're thriving. So he might be able to help us understand what a project like this would involve. And I was going to propose to the board that we put both these guys on. Again, Jacoby needs 30 minutes. Aaron McDaniel needs about 45 minutes, he said, but he can condense it down. And it would be a great, I think, a great introduction and a great, pardon the pun, planting of seeds to seeing how we as a board can maybe do something here locally.
Anybody have a comment?
Well, that pretty much fills an agenda, so.
I would think so.
What is the other time sensitive? I thought we talked about some things here that maybe need to be talked about, and then just limit the agenda to those.
You won't have the Garden Fest, you just need to talk about your new chair and vice chair.
That's right. That's a must-do.
So is
Dave Floyd.
Dave Floyd officially,
Well, his term ends
Term ends
in May.
in May.
And he's going to not be living here full-time, so he's going to be stepping down.
so somebody, looking around here, has to be nominated to be chair.
Are you going to stay vice chair?
I don't think I have a term limit myself.
There's no term limits that I can think of.
I just think that that'd be the progression. Vice chair to chair.
It doesn't
I think this
have
meeting
to.
went pretty
It does
smooth.
not
No,
have
no.
to.
Well, I'm quick about things, yes, but how many members we're missing? Well, Dylan can't be. He can't be a member. Who else are we missing?
Nick.
Nick?
And Bruno.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just a second.
Do we have anybody that's interested in being the chair for a year? Don't everybody raise their hands at once.
I would nominate Dave if you want to do it. I mean, no, seriously, I mean, I do,
Well, we don't have to vote tonight. It was
Yeah,
just planting the seed.
let's
Think
just
about it.
think about it, go to
So, I mean,
sleep.
we would need someone to step in as vice chair in that
Yeah, these are just-
situation, you know, but.
Yeah.
May I ask a question? Do you have a description of what that chair
Yeah, I was
must do?
actually trying to print it off the handbook, but it's on my computer, but I can send it out to you guys to
Yeah,
see if you
I'd
have
love that.
information.
I love that.
Basically, you run the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
it may be,
attending
I don't know,
certain meetings?
how much consulting have you been doing with, not really?
I send out the agendas, he runs the meeting.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah, yeah.
And Julie will hold your hand.
Figuratively speaking.
These little notes, little reminders.
So that was on the agenda for April?
It will be, yeah.
It will.
But that will be a quick one. And then Chris wanted to talk, so those are the only other two things you guys have right now.
So,
Can I circle back?
one's going to be 45 minutes and one is going to be 30. So it seems like, and is that going to be okay with the length of time, or can we condense that down?
Well, you don't
Split
want-
that
Seems
between
like a
two
lot of time to
meetings?
me.
Yeah, that seems like a lot for one meeting, to have two
'Cause we're-
presentations that lengthy.
Because I got a lot out of Denounce. I mean, that was a lot of information. I think that we need to put this information, put these theories into practice, and we have to get this knowledge that we hear and use it.
Yeah,
If-
go ahead, Chris.
I'm sorry, if you're concerned about the length of what I might present, I can keep it down to 3 to 5 minutes, and no problem.
Me?
No, if you're,
Oh, Chris.
if you guys are concerned with what I might bring next month.
No, Matt said that he had two.
Oh, yeah, right.
But I
Two,
do
one
see
was-
the potential for a synergy between those two taking place
Mhm.
side by side as opposed to a month apart.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I think the people that Matt is proposing sound very topical and potentially helpful. It's my kind of 30,000-foot view that figuring out what and potentially multiple things that we can do in that area west of Sampson's is like a very important thing and something that we as a board, potentially with the Sampson's, board can really take action on. So, I mean, the oyster piece that we learned about from the zoo, I think that could hopefully be part of it, but if there can be a seagrass, element as well, I mean, I think that's very exciting and can be a good long-term project for the board. So that's something that gets me fired up
Yeah.
personally. That's
true.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking that having been out there and tried to start mangroves out there myself, you might want to do, if you could, do an oyster reef that's farther out and do your Spartina behind it.
As a
Or whatever else. It's basically, it's a long reach and it just beats the bejesus out of stuff when you plant it.
Look at the straits, Falkland Islands out there today. It was, it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you can build a reef basically out of oysters or whatever else, then behind it, that'll still the water some so that other stuff may get going, so.
Well, Chuck's going to talk about that, correct? I mean, he's,
So, yeah, Chuck is prepared to talk to us about what our immediate local area has or has had in the past
okay.
as it relates to seagrasses,
Yeah.
and what that contributed as it relates to the health of the lagoon. And then Aaron McDaniel is going to come in and talk to us about the project that occurred up in Merritt Island, and it is actively ongoing, but he basically spearheaded the whole thing a few years ago. He's going to let us know about what he learned and what's essentially required. Because to be honest with you, it's possible that our section of lagoon here might not be able we might not be able to cultivate grass. And so we might want to focus on something different, more energy into something different, something that we're already doing, whatever. But those two, to me, those two presentations, as John said, create some synergy and complement one another in terms of helping us make decisions on going forward as it relates to them.
All right, sounds good. So we'll
Book
see
both?
them,
Yeah.
book both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. We're very excited about that. And one other public comment.
So I'm Katie Flane at 202 Lantern Back Island Drive. You guys are talking about a little bit about the, the oysters and the grasses and stuff. There's a program through the zoo, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they're working with different people within Tortoise Island, and like we're signed up for the project to have the zoo build a native shoreline, including the oyster reef, on our own property. And they have a bunch of different people throughout Tortoise Island that are doing it, and also at the clubhouse through Tortoise Island, and they have a grant to do that. So instead of reinventing the wheel, if they're talking about doing something like that on Sampson Island, it may make sense to work through them, because they already have a plan, a structure, a way to do it, and all of that. So, and they're looking for people who are willing to, basically donate their waterfront for this purpose. So Sampson Island has a lot of waterfront for that purpose.
We had a presentation from Honey Whitney with the Restore Our Shores, and there was actually some folks, I think, from Tortoise Island that said, and she was talking about how from what they've done, satellite's been a very rich environment for them with that project. That's kind of what sparked this thing that we're now talking about. Yeah.
So,
Nick?
Cool.
Just from staff perspective, just want to make sure there's a couple of things that are clear. We also have a program that does that.
Awesome.
For $500 match for residents, and portions of Tortoise Island is within Satellite Beach, so please take a look at that. It's on our website.
Yeah.
Also, for the grant, the clarity of the grant is what that will entail. The 2007 study by St. John's says there was seagrass on the 35 acres west of Sampson, so we're using that as a justification.
Awesome.
For the oysters, planted seagrass, not Spartina though. Just because I know you mentioned Spartina,
Right.
not a presentation, but with that area being 2.5 feet deep and mangroves already being out there, Spartina just grow on the interior shoreline where the water is lapping against the shoreline. So this would be more seagrasses, and the plants are going to come from UF. And again, I can talk about that in more detail if you have any questions.
Something Denali learned too is different Spartina species have different water tolerance levels. Some can be submerged and some can't. So the ones she used are the ones that actually can have standing water, kept their feet wet all the time.
Is that patents or alternative?
We did the patents. Yeah, we got it at Maple Street Natives. So we carefully researched which one so that we could float it like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Okay, the next is the adoption of the minutes for February 27th, 2019.
Move.
Second.
Right. And John, second it?
Matt White,
Yeah.
Chris Reed,
Yes.
Steve Gillum,
Yes.
John Fergus.
Yes.
Mark Boyd,
Yes.
Dave Bigliotti.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, that's the-
One sec. I just want to clarify our agenda items for next month.
2 speakers and talk about your bike stuff
Bike thing.
and talk about the new chair.
Okay.
I'm good?
And that's, in the garden fair, which should already be done, right?
It will, yes.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wait, not quite.
Not quite, because it's the
Come on,
27th.
bang on that thing, ain't you?
I'm sorry.
Last minute preparations for the garden.
Yeah, last minute.
Last minute preparations, because that is,
Yeah.
3 days out.
Yeah.
that's actually pretty good, because just in case we need somebody.
The day before, too.
The bike,
Yeah.
week before, we're going to have this all planned out perfectly. Is there any other, that's it?
No, it's been great.
Pick it up. Someone's going to do something.